I'm gonna play a 10 minutes game and explain every one of my moves so you can take the most of it and use it in your own games. Okay, so I'm playing here as black and that is my favorite opening against e4, and overall as black the Philidor defense, and it starts here with the move e5 because, well, there is also a g6 that is a pierce defense, a completely different thing, but I really like this Philidor defense because you fight for the center, it's very flexible, and you're basically doing the same thing no matter what, so it's like you don't need to learn a lot of theory to be able to play it. Knight f3 is the main line here, attacking the pawn, so all I'm doing is just protecting it, and then I'm preparing the castles and then attack on the queen side. So the plan is pretty clear, it's, like I said, the same no matter what my opponent is doing, so let's see how it's gonna be in this game. Just doing the castles. And now c6, that's a very important move because we are controlling this key d5 square as well as supporting this b7, b5 move. And well, my opponent is not really trying the most aggressive lines, he prefers a solid approach, which is completely fine, it's playable, but it allows me to do what I want, namely to play b5 here without any problems, because he could have played a4 trying to stop it. Now he played a3, and the point is to stop the move b4. I don't know, at some point he might play d5, which is a little bit annoying, as then the knight comes and then the queen attacking my rook, so that is why I'm gonna place my bishop on b7 to have another defender here. Bishop e3. Now, well, my opponent is developing all of the pieces, that's very good. I guess the next moves are gonna be queen d2, rooks to the center, everything classical, but I have a pretty comfortable position, I like it. I also need to finish my development, maybe rook to e8, because the bishop is not on c4 where it usually is in this opening, so now there is no danger to the f7 pawn and I could just develop my rook to e8. The queen normally goes to c7, I just need to be a little bit careful with some knight takes b5 ideas after d5 and c takes d, but I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Okay, he actually goes knight d2, maybe preparing the move f4. It's so tempting to take and play c5 at some point, but he has so many defenders for this e4 pawn 3, and if I remove my bishop I'm gonna have 1, 2 and 3, so still not enough to take this pawn after all of the captures. But well, I have to create some counterplay, otherwise he's gonna play f4, f5, g4, g5 and just crush me on the king side. And normally if your opponent is attacking on the side, you should answer in the center, so yeah, maybe I could prepare the move d5, but once again he has so many attackers there. Another approach is to play b4 here, so to do that I should start with a5 and maybe prepare this move b4, attacking this knight because it's so important in terms of defending the pawn on a4, in terms of stopping the d5 move, so maybe I'm gonna do that. My e5 pawn is still well protected, so I have nothing to worry about there. So I'm gonna just play b4, and if he wants to exchange the rooks there, I'm gonna take it back with the queen. So I'm controlling this a file and also the diagonal, so my queen should be great there. Yeah, that is what happened on the board. And now I can even take the pawn on d4 and then play c5, open up all of my pieces, and potentially I'm gonna have a lot of attackers for this e4 pawn. Unfortunately, I haven't played bishop f8 yet, so my rook is still closed, but still I'm gonna have 3 attackers for the e4 pawn and he only has 2 defenders now. So I'm wondering what is his plan actually. Maybe he wants to play e5 at some point, trying to attack my pieces, but I'm gonna be the first one to attack. Like, yeah, of course, now knight takes d4 is possible, the knight f5, but everything is protected. This rook on e8 is doing a good job, and otherwise, yeah, I want to take on a4. Because also, because of this move f4, this bishop on e3 is kind of vulnerable. So in the end of all of the exchanges, when my queen happens to be on e4, I'm gonna attack it. Yeah, seems like a very nice plan. Let's see what he comes with. If he takes with a bishop, I'm gonna play c5. Yeah, okay, knight takes, still c5 seems to be the best move. Now, in the fielder defense, you should be very careful with the move c5 normally, because you don't want this knight to be on d5, but there is no knight on c3 anymore. He plays knight b5 here with an idea, obviously, to give this pin, to give this fork for the queen and the rook, but I have a feeling that shouldn't be that dangerous for me. I'm not even sure how stable this knight is. I mean, if I just play queen a5, covering this c7 square and also attacking the knight where the knight is going, I mean, it has no moves, literally no moves to go. He might take here and then play e5, but in a very best case, in a worst case scenario, I can just exchange the bishops and then give my knight for 2 pawns there, and I'm gonna be an extra pawn in the end of the day. And if he protects the knight with a pawn, I can take it, but then he goes back and then the knight is great on c3. So that is actually something I don't like. So I can just put my rook on c8 and making sure that this knight is not giving me a fork. But of course, yeah, my rook is so great here, I don't know. I can just play queen a5, dealing with the threat, and then bishop goes back to f8, and then I'm once again attacking this guy on e4. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna try that. He has queen knight to b3 with the tempo though, and then still this d6 pawn is somehow vulnerable. Yeah, knight b5 is a very good move. I have underestimated it. And I can't play bishop d8 because this pawn on d6 would be vulnerable. So I guess I have to play queen a5. Like rook c8 seems to be so passive. I may just take it and after knight c3 go queen b4, because once again the queen would be very active. Then the bishop is potentially good here, as well as along the long diagonal. The only thing I don't like is this knight on c3. It's just protecting everything and it's very good there. But let me, yeah, if I play bishop f8, I obviously don't have an opportunity to take this pawn anymore. But on the other hand, I'm attacking, so I'm gonna try it. I mean, all of my pieces are protected, all of my pieces are active. This knight might potentially go to b6 and attack this c4 pawn, and then if I take it, he takes it back, I can take this knight on b5. Yeah, queen c2, he's protecting everything. Do I have the move d5? Because this bishop on e3 is vulnerable, so I might take it with a knight. And then if he takes, I have a pair of bishops. And also remember, this knight is actually unprotected, so d5 seems to be a very good move. But what about e5? That's the only problem, because my bishop is also pinned there. I can take on c4, and then bishop takes, queen takes b5 with a tempo. Yeah, it's very, very sharp, but very tempting to try, because it seems like the only active move. If I'm not playing actively here, then he's gonna crush me slowly, but I wouldn't have any active opportunity. So I'm gonna go for it. He can't take with the e-pawn, he can't take with this pawn, so basically it's not possible to take on d5, but he has this move e5 here. Knight e4 doesn't seem to be that great because he has more attackers than I have defenders. He has 3 and I have only 2 defenders. But I like this move d takes c, sacrificing my bishop but attacking this knight and, well, maybe even winning a pawn. The problem is, of course, he would have a very beautiful pawn chain, and yeah, he's gonna just, I guess, go away with the bishop, and then my knight is still hanging and this pawn on c4 is very vulnerable, so maybe it's not that great. If I play d4 now, he takes here, I take there, I'm attacking the knight, so the knight goes away, or maybe he's taking my knight. Yeah, it's so crazy here. So many different things are unprotected. If I go knight h5, just bishop f2, protecting everything, and then still I have a problem. But maybe then I play knight b6. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be that great, to be honest. Okay, let me stick to my plan and try to get this pawn on c4. I understand that he's gonna get the initiative, but I'm gonna try to use my positional advantage in terms of the pieces activity. My idea is bishop takes b7, queen takes b5, bishop goes somewhere, knight to b6, because he can't really still take my knight. At least I'm fine with it, because I'm gonna take the bishop. And if he, yeah, now I'm taken. If he does something else, then I have knight to d5. As the knight seems to be pretty active in the center. Yeah, bishop goes back, and now knight b6. Because I'm also protecting the c4 pawn this way. I'm not obliged to go to d5, knight d7 would be also possible. But knight d5, at least at the moment, seems to be the most active one. Okay, now I can play knight d5 because it's a move with a tempo, and I'm also preparing the move c3, which would be just a dream for me. So let me try it. I mean, if I manage to play c3, that would be a wonderful position for me. Maybe that is why he takes, and maybe now queen takes c4. That would be a very smart idea, because my queen is hanging. Yeah, exactly. And if I take, he takes with a knight, protecting his knight. But I have f6 in the end of the day. Yeah, it's a very unbalanced position. But if I just go away, he plays bishop f2, and then my position is not that great. So I'm gonna go into this endgame. I can play f6 immediately, but then just bishop away once again. So I have to remove it. And now I can go here, but it doesn't give me anything. So I have a bishop against a knight. That means that I have to open up the position, because otherwise the knight will be stronger. I have some weak pawns because it's on the dark squares, and my bishop is also on the dark squares. Ideally, you want it to be vice versa. You want to the pawns to be on opposite sides, on opposite squares of your bishop, so on light squares, because that way bishop would control all of the dark squares and pawns are controlling the light squares, so I control everything. But now the light squares are completely out of my control. I hoped to play here bishop c7. Now I'm controlling this knight, and I still have an open file for the rook. I'm not sure about this rook e4 move, whether it's so good, but I just need to make this rook active somehow. Maybe rook d4, now rook goes to d3 potentially, and attack his weak pawns. Yeah, now I can just play rook d3 and attack here. The good thing is he's not really threatening this pawn because of bishop b6 pin. Yeah, now I might be able to bring my king. Guess I have to be a little bit faster because I don't have a lot of time. Maybe I just blundered a little bit because bishop f4 wouldn't be possible now. Yeah, that's not such a great pin. But I have bishop d6 with the tempo, because if rook c6, then I'm taken here. If rook to d5, then I have king e6. Now I blundered again. There is knight, rook takes, and knight e4 in the end of the day. Okay, so I have to get away somehow. Let's say bishop e7, but still, I mean, now there are a lot of weaknesses. Now my rook is very active, this bishop is controlling the b-pawn. I no longer have this weakness on c5, so actually I'm pretty satisfied. It's just the time I need to pay attention to. Okay, yeah, let's take. But yeah, still this b4 is pretty weak, and he has a very active king. Maybe I shouldn't have exchanged. Now his knight is gonna start to jump everywhere. Yeah, I kind of provoked him for this f5 move, but maybe it's not that great for me. Because I want to create my passer here. Yeah, here it's still too early, but maybe bishop c7 and g4 is my idea. Check. And now g4. Oops, maybe I want to play h4. Oh, that's too risky, giving him 2 pawns. Bishop b8, just to make sure I don't get into trouble. But yeah, this position seems to be good for me. Just now g3. Yeah, okay. So the question is whether I can play it for a win. Maybe I can, because my bishop is easily controlling the key f8 square, and my king can go there, and this king can't go away from e4 because it has to protect. Okay, now it can, but oh no, I had the move bishop to f4, yeah, but just knight g2. Yeah, it should be a draw objectively, of course, but I have only 22 seconds on the clock. It's not that great. Maybe I just have to force a draw. Well, I can take it, and I still control the f8 square. Yeah, now I'm winning, because he apparently tried to use the fact that I was low on time, but yeah, now he's losing. Okay, that was a very nice game. Thank you very much for watching it. See you in the next one.